Hello, dear students, Jai Hind and very good morning to all of you. Today, welcome back to our lecture number 4 in the chapter 9, that is heredity and evolution. As far as previous lectures are concerned, that is lecture number 1, 2 and 3 are concerned, where we have discussed our total concentration was there on the topic of heredity. Understand? In last lecture, we discussed a topic regarding sex determination in human being and in some other animals at the same time. Today's topic, my dear student, is very important. That is the process of evolution. Before I start today's topic, let us try to simply understand the meaning of evolution. In English, we all know to evolve means to do something new. So, when you are talking of evolution in terms of living organism, we can say that evolution is the process of conversion of simple unicellular organism into complex, complicated, multicellular living organism. This process of conversion of simple unicellular simple protozoans into complex multicellular living organism with complicated body design, this whole process is actually known as, to be more specific, organic evolution. And my dear student, the topic which we are going to discuss is actually the essence of how the whole world which we see around us came into existence. Actually, in our old course, we have studied a little concept like this, that there are two groups of thinkers who believe, understand in different theories regarding the origin of life and how the simple life forms converted into complicated life forms. There are two theories. One simple theory, understand, says that God has created everything. Let us not even utilize this word, I must say, some supernatural power existing in this universe. Understand, have made the world what it looks like today. There are no changes. I am not talking of cultural development. You may say, okay, we have made high rise, bridge, building. I am not talking of that. I am talking of the world we see. It is not a question of cultural development, it's a question of which we look our surrounding. We see the diversity in living organism, diversity, understand, in environmental factor. All this actually. One group of thinker which those people who had faith in some other aspects believes that the whole world, I must say, whatever you see around us is formed at one instant of time, and what it was formed at that time, understand, was similar like it is today. That is one group of thinker believes. But other group of thinkers who are thinking on the process of evolution are firmly believer of the fact that evolution is actually a very slow, gradual process which converted simple unicellulars into complex multicellular, and because of this process of evolution we are able to see the variety-full world around us. That's the thinking of second group of thinker who we call scientists. They all believe in this theory of organic evolution. Understand? Now, my dear student, are there any proof that what scientists thought, that simple unicellular converted into complex multicellular? Yes, my dear student. If somebody asks a question, how we come to know that first a unicellular must have formed and then they gave rise to the multicellular, how the process might have taken place? So many queries may arise in our mind, and that answer to that was given by, understand, in your textbook that experiment has been mentioned as an information, and that experiment done by name of scientists, you can read Harold Urey, and there they have performed an experiment actually, and they were trying to prove that whenever earth was formed, at, at that instant of time, the environment was not consisting of some of the gases which we are talking today. Understand, there may be at that time presence of only some gases like helium, hydrogen. Understand, at that time they actually in laboratory performed an experiment where they created the same environment the moment our earth was formed, and the life must have come into existence at that instant of time. They created such an environment, and they come to know that some molecules, understand, of amino acid are formed, and these molecules of amino acid, my dear student, you all know, are actually the building blocks of making proteins, and proteins, understand, play an important role in making the body structures. So scientists of the world are true believer in this only, that the process of evolution must have given rise and must have happened then, and then the diversity in life form which we are observing today is possible. Okay, my dear student, and one more thing I talked in my first lecture, accumulation of variation is the essence of the process of organic evolution. Suppose, my dear student, I want to just read out one statement for you. What is actually the essence of evolution? Okay. What I have written. What is actually the essence of evolution? Okay. See. During the process of evolution, what is going to happen in the process of evolution, variation is going to play the most important role. Actually, giving rise to variation by nature is actually an main essence of evolution. You, in textbook the word is written, during the process of evolution there is an inbuilt tendency to variation. Inbuilt tendency to variation due to what? Due to error in DNA copying. Even my dear student, as you all know, two children of the same parent are also variate. They are also not similar. Understand? Right? Even the twins are born with variation. What are actually those variation? Understand that is variation is going to happen. That's an inbuilt tendency. Understand? And some actually error word I do not agree. Actually, I agree with the that is actually nature's gift. It is not error. Actually, I can utilize the word change in DNA copying. So DNA changes also going to create the variation, and this variation give capability to every living organism to survive in a particular type of environment. So my dear student, variation in animal, variation in the existing living organism is going to give them survival advantage in changing environment. Sometimes they get survival advantage, sometimes they do not. Suppose my dear student, at one instance of time, chimpanzees, dinosaurs, understand, elephant, tigers, all animals were existing. Due to sudden change in the environment, either by meteor impact or whatever it may be, what happened? The dinosaur, the greatest gigantic reptile existing on the surface of the earth, immediately got eliminated and disappeared from the arena of the earth. Understand? So that means they were not able to create those minor variations, understand, in their body, which will give them different capability and give the survival advantage, understand, to live in the changing environment. That is actually the essence of evolution, that the variation created has to give you the chance of survival advantage. Then and then the species continues. You understood this? One illustration, my dear student, which has been mentioned in textbook regarding, it is actually an example of beetles, which I am going to explain, that how the sometime the variation result in survival advantage, and sometime the variation may not result in survival advantage. Okay. Okay. Just try to look at this, my dear student. What I have shown, this one illustration actually explains the basics of process of evolution. Look at this. What is shown here? 12 red beetles. Just you start thinking of some particular habitat, and that particular habitat consisting of small bushes with green leaves. So that particular habitat which consisting of small bushes with green leaves. Suppose there are 12 red beetle. We are actually trying to understand. That's why the fixed number 12 is taken. Understand? So 12 red beetles are actually feeding in that particular habitat by eating the leaves of green bushes. Now these beetles which are red are easily visualized by the crow. The crow are going to eat them easily because in green color these red beetle are easily visualized. Food web, one level of organism are eaten by other level of organism that we all know very well. Now my dear student, suppose some genetic variation, which I already told you, variation is an inbuilt tendency. Understand, by either some error in DNA copying or during the sexual reproduction, varieties are going to be produced. Understand? So my dear student, due to reproduction, suppose some of the beetles which are born have created, means some variation are created, and out of the 12 suppose one is born green beetle. Now what is going to happen? Crows are able to see only the red beetles, so they are going to eat the red beetle. By chance they are not able to see the green beetle among the green bushes. So what is going to happen? Red beetles will be eaten up by the frog, by the crow, but the green beetles are going to regenerate more and more. Again you can see here, and at one instance of time it can happen that all red beetles are going to be eaten by the crow, but the green beetles are not eaten by the crow. That means this minor variation of color change gave beetle a survival advantage. And that word I am speaking again and again in my lecture. Variation is going to give the survival advantage, and the whole world, every living organism, understand, are working for survival advantage only. In changing environment, understand, knowingly or unknowingly we all are working for that only. That's called survival advantage. So my dear student, what happened in the first situation? A minute looking change in genes which give rise to the green beetles. Understand, that minor variation became a common characteristics in the next generation. So my dear student, one thing has been clear in your mind. What is that? That this color change gave beetle a survival advantage, and that's why green beetle survived more than the red beetle. This is, my dear student, first situation. Suppose it happen that some variation may give rise to blue colored beetles. Now it is going to increase in number because the variation always accumulates itself. So my dear student, the blue beetles are going to increase. Red beetles are going to be eaten by crow, but not the blue beetles, not visualized among the green bushes. Suppose, my dear student, at one instance of time it happens, suppose that these are red beetle and these are blue beetle. By chance, if elephant step on this beetle and it kills by chance all red beetles and only blue survive, then this is going to be a common characteristic in the next generation of beetles. That means what? Color here actually, this common characteristics of becoming or giving rise to the blue beetle is actually, my dear student, it is not, it can't be called a natural selection. Here actually crow becomes a promoter of the process of natural selection, because nature created the variation, and crow was it able to see only red beetle and not the green one. Understand, the crow actually became the promoter of the process of natural selection, which Darwin insisted and explained a lot, that variation give rise to the survival advantage. Here, my dear student, no doubt blue beetles are formed, and this is an accidental. By chance, if elephants step on and it killed all the red beetle, the only left are blue beetle, which give rise to only the blue beetle. That becomes the common characteristic. We can't consider it. No doubt it is a variation, understand, but we can't think of it as a survival advantage. Okay, but this even accidental step on by elephant give rise to a new species. That is, my dear student, the essence of evolution. Suppose red beetles, it happened, suppose in the third situation, that in some area, understand, where the red beetles are feeding on the bushes having green leaf. Suppose it happened, my dear student, due to some environmental changes. Suppose due to some changes in the soil texture or in environment, it happened that the green bushes with leaves, understand, got some infection or some disease, and the green bushes are now not developing properly. So, my dear student, if this happens, then beetles, red colored beetles which are feeding on that, what happened to them? They will not get the enough green leaves to be eaten. And when they do not get enough green leaves to eat, that means, my dear student, it is going to create a starvation. They are not enoughly, they are not able to feed themselves enough. Understand? So, what is going to happen? For some generation, it happens that the progenies, understand, are starving and the body structure are maybe little weakened. But that again, suppose it happen that due to some again the soil texture changes, as well as at the same time environmental factor played a role, and again the green bushes, bushes with green leaves started developing properly, then again the generation of the beetle are going to get enough food. Understand? And again the healthy beetle generation is going to occur. So my dear student, here in third situation lies one of the most important topic. What is that? That lifetime experience by any individual is not inherited in the next progeny. That means, my dear student, due to starvation, suppose the beetles are born, beetles are weaker and weaker, then also, my dear student, the new progeny which are going to be formed due to sexual reproduction later on, when they get enough diet, they are going to be the original healthy beetle. That means your simple experience of lifetime is not going to carry as an inherited traits in the next generation. Okay, my dear student. So this in example, these three situations are very very important to understand the essence of evolution. What was the first? Variation arose in the progeny by the process of natural selection. Variation in progeny is formed, and it gave accidental advantage for the new variation to arise. Experience of lifetime doesn't make any change in the germ cell, that is the genetic pattern, and the new progeny which are going to form are again looking like the original healthy beetle. You understood the? This is actually the example. Understand? The title itself is variation in population, inherited and otherwise. This is inherited and otherwise. Understand? So just take an example. Try to understand my point. Suppose I tell you that suppose it happened that we all start, suppose some environmental changes or texture changes in the soil, may it occur that there will be less food production and we are not able to get enough food, and the total present human generation starts starving and our body structure becomes weaker. This doesn't make a change in our genetic flow, my dear student. Our chromosome, our germ cell are going to remain the same. Understand? So the next child, next generation which is born is not going to be weaker like us. Understand? Because experience of that lifetime, understand, is not going to be expressed in the next generation as an inherited traits. You understood, my dear student? So this is actually the essence of evolution. Again and again I spoke one very important word for you. Again and again. That is what I spoke. Inherited traits. Traits means, my dear student, some of the characteristic which transfer from one generation to another generation, that we call inherited traits. There are some other traits also which are called acquired traits. I am going to explain you in the next half of this lecture what is actually the meaning of inherited traits and what is actually the meaning of acquired traits. That is our next topic. Okay. What is difference between inherited traits and acquired traits? Let us try to understand it. Okay. Essence of idea of evolution. All I spoke all this word, my dear student. Understand? A rare variation. Rare variation, that was the color change, became a common characteristic that you all know. And a frequency of an inherited traits changed over generation. This minor change, understand, this minor variation in the original parental generation, understand, parental species, understand, carry on frequently in the next generation. Frequency, I have shown that diagram of beetle, where in first suppose in first situation I just want to show you again. Okay. See, first only one green, then more green, and on all are green. That means the frequency of changes in the genetic track is going to increase. That was what they want to convey us in this particular word, my dear student. Frequency of an inherited traits changed over generation. Okay. Now, my dear student, let us try to understand. This is what I already explained to you. Okay. Now we are trying to understand this third situation I already explained to you. Okay. Now, dear student, just one important fact which we want to now understand. Okay. One very important fact, right? That is what we are also trying to understand: acquired traits and inherited traits. Okay. Acquired and inherited traits also. That also we need to understand. Okay. If it is okay. Right? Okay. Let us come back. Okay. Okay. Now, my dear student, what we now want to understand, that is regarding acquired and inherited traits, and that theory is also very important for us to understand, right? That is also we need to understand in detail that what happens in acquired and inherited traits, that we want to understand the process. Okay. Okay. Right. Just try to understand the meaning of acquired and inherited traits. Okay. What happens actually, right? We just try to understand in the next half of this lecture what is actually the meaning of acquired traits and inherited traits. I just want to explain, my dear student, this very important word. The experience of a lifetime cannot pass on to progeny as an inherited traits. This is what the essence of this. Just try to understand what does it mean. Okay. Okay, let us try to understand it. So, dear student, just try to understand. We have already understood the process, okay, of evolution. Now we are actually targeting to understand the meaning of inherited traits. Inherited traits means what, my dear student? The traits which continue from one generation to another generation by the flow of the genetic material, gene flow, which we call in short. That gene flow is actually going to give rise to inherited traits. Understand? Suppose, my dear student, if you are just you start thinking how many inherited traits you have of your parents, and that you got as a gift from your parents only when your zygote is formed. That was your first birthday actually, before you are born in this world. So when zygote is formed, it is formed by sperm of your father and ovum of your mother, which both were consisting of 23 chromosomes, consisting of different genetic makeup, genetic material, which when fused and the zygote is formed. And that's why, my dear student, your very existence on this world, not your, actually we are talking of as a general, the very existence of every progeny in this world is actually the greatest gift of their parents to them. And that's why you have lots of variations in you, lots of similarity, understand, in you with your parents. You just look at your home, understand, look at the mirror, stand in front of the mirror and try to analyze that how much similarity you have with your parents, either father and mother. Maybe your height, maybe your eye structure, maybe your skin complexion, understand, maybe your hair structure, understand, lots of, there are lots of physical features which you got as a gift from your parents that can be called inherited traits. Understand? And those inherited traits are actually occurring due to gene flow. But one statement which I have quoted here, see, my dear student, for inherited traits, what are responsible? Change in gene flow. That genes, actually the DNA material, chromosome, is going to transfer the hereditary character in the next progeny or in the next generation. But any change in, my dear student, non-reproductive tissue, when I'm utilizing the word non-reproductive tissue, means I'm talking the whole body except reproductive organ. Okay, so any change in non-reproductive tissue cannot be passed on to DNA of germ cell of the next generation. That we understand in the previous slide when I saw beetle in the third situation, where what happened, due to starvation their body grew smaller, weaker. but that actually the change which occurred not in their germ cell, actually the change occurred in their non-reproductive tissue in their body. So that is not going to be transferred in the next generation as an inherited traits, my dear student. For transfer of the inherited traits, the role or significance of reproductive tissue is very important, because germ cell only can transfer the inherited character, not any change in the non reproductive tissue will transfer in the next in the DNA of the generation, in the next generation DNA. Suppose, my dear student, suppose an example of starving beetle that I told you. Suppose tailless mice cannot produce tailless progeny. Suppose that those some of the experiment has also been performed, understand, by many scientists of the world, that suppose some mice are selected, their tails are cut to check that change in this non-reproductive tissue is going to be reflected in the DNA of the germ cell of the next generation. What happened? Next generation were all with tail. Again they want to change it. Again they cut the tail of the mice, and they were trying to observe any changes may occur in the next generation. No, my dear student, they were again born. They were again born the progeny of mice with tails only. So, if you cut the tail of a mice, it is never going to be expressed in the DNA of the germ cell of the next generation. That's why it cannot be called, understand, an inherited traits. Suppose it happened that your suppose any during the accident, suppose, my dear student, if it happens, acquired traits we want to discuss later on, but one more thing, suppose it happened that during accident you get some scars on your face, understand. Now when you get married, understand, and your child is born, does that scars on your face permanently which happen going to reflect in your child? Not at all, my dear student. That's a change in your non reproductive tissue that is not going to be inherited in the next generation. Okay, then what we call acquired traits, what is that? Acquired traits are those traits, my dear student, which has nothing to do with the gene flow, nothing to do with the DNA, okay, nothing to do with the transfer of hereditary character from one generation to another, but those traits, acquired traits, are those which you acquire in your lifetime. Understand? Right? In your lifetime, some of the changes you are going to acquire. Understand? Take an example, my dear student. Some of the changes, suppose you start, understand, take an example. Suppose you have developed a very wrong eating habit and you grow, understand, too much body weight and become, your weight become around 150 kilogram, and doctor give you a warning signal, and you start dieting and reduce your body weight and become a very smart, handsome, thin looking fellow. So that is called an acquired traits. You made a change in your reproductive tissue. Understand? Take an example. What you get from the cultural environment around you, that are called acquired traits. It has nothing to do with the genes. Suppose you have a habit of, understand, you start going for the swimming and you develop a skill or swimming in you, that means you become a good swimmer. But when your child is born, he is not a swimmer. Understand? Because the change in non-reproductive tissue is not going to be transferred as a DNA change in the germ cell of your child. Understand? So that is not going to happen, that the child of a swimmer is going to be a great swimmer. Understand? Because that's not inherited traits. Otherwise, the child of Sachin Tendulkar, if he gets the acquired traits of from Sachin Tendulkar, must have become the greatest cricketer, but that's not happened. Those are acquired traits. Understand? Suppose somebody start a bodybuilding and develop a muscular body. Understand? The child which is going to born is not going to be develop that muscular body until he exercises himself. But when he exercises, he is creating he is getting the acquired traits to accumulate in his body. Roller skating or skating, whatever you learn, you even start speaking the language. Any child which is born in Gujarat, understand, is going to speak Gujarati because he is getting that cultural environment. But suppose it happened, understand, that child born, the moment he is born, understand, the moment he start, before he starts speaking, he is transferred to Kerala. So when he grows, he is going to start speaking that Tamil language, Telugu language actually. Why? Because he remained in that environment. Understand? Suppose why a child born in Gujarat is not able to speak the Maharashtrian Marathi language, and like why the child which is born, understand, in Maharashtra is not able to speak the Gujarati language, because that's an acquired traits. Understand? Okay, my dear student, try to understand the meaning of this and try to differentiate between acquired traits and inherited traits. Actually, I must say that you are a bundle of inherited traits and acquired traits. You are what you are made from these two factors, inherited traits and acquired traits. Understood? So, my dear student, acquired, that's why the name itself is acquired traits. That means you acquire after you are born in this world by remaining in this cultural environment developed by your ancestor, where you are going to remain and acquire those characters in your body. Understand, right? So that is called acquired traits. Even my dear students, some people starts doing yoga and yogic exercise, and they are making their mental stability quite better than other. That means that is acquired traits. Understood? So this way, my dear student, you have to understand the difference between inherited traits and acquired traits. Acquired traits means you acquire in yourself by remaining in this environment. Understand? And inherited traits are those traits which you get as a gift from your parents, and that you cannot make any change in inherited traits. You can make change in acquired traits. Understand, my dear student? But as the science is today advancing, and the day will come when we will start working on nanotechnology, at that time, my dear student, it can happen that scientists of the world, medical science, are able to change your karyotype. But that's a different story, which may occur or not, because to play with the nature is always a danger. It has caused danger to the very existence of the living organism. Understood? Right, my dear student? So this is some detailed understanding regarding inherited traits and acquired traits. You understood this? Okay? So in today's lecture number 4, I explain you the process of evolution and the change and the difference between inherited traits and acquired traits. Okay, dear student, we are somewhat taking the lecture in this way so that you can visualize on board and can understand the topic more with you can make your concept more clear. Okay, dear students. So, thank you very much from Bharat sir for attending today's lecture.